Well, folks, the moment WNBA fans, especially in Indiana, had been waiting for finally arrived. After a 5-game absence that felt longer than a bad blind date, Caitlin Clark officially returned to the hardwood on Wednesday. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse was packed to the rafters, a sold-out crowd roaring their approval as their second-year sensation was introduced. It was a triumphant return, a hero's welcome, and then the actual game started. And let's just say, Clark's return was less superstar savior and more superstar who just woke up from a nap. She showed plenty of rust, managing just 10 points on a rather chilly 4 of 12 shooting from the field. She did add 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal, proving she still knows how to pass the rock and pick a pocket, but also coughed up the ball 4 times in the 80-61 blowout loss to the Golden State Valkyries. The Fever offense collectively went colder than a freezer full of popsicles, shooting a dismal 30.9% from the field, their worst showing of the entire season. Ouch. Deep dive, rust, restraints, and relentless defense. Let's dissect this not-so-glorious comeback, shall we? The rust is real factor. Missing 5 games with an injury is no joke. Even for a player of Clark's caliber, the human body, much like an old car, needs to warm up after sitting idle. Her immediate involvement, forcing an offensive foul, turning the ball over, grabbing 2 boards, was a whirlwind in her initial 5 minutes. She hit a step-back jumper and a 3 early, almost teasing us with a glimpse of the old Clark. But then, much like a good joke that slowly loses its punchline, the shots just stopped falling. The rust wasn't just on her shooting, it was on the entire offensive rhythm. The coach's orders paradox. Fever head coach Stephanie White had a plan. A cunning plan to ease Clark back in. She aimed for roughly 4 or 5 minutes at a time to monitor her response to the injury. Clark was subbed out as promised, but the stat sheet tells a different story. She still logged 25 minutes. It's like telling your kid they can only have 1 cookie, and then finding them with chocolate crumbs all over their face and a half-eaten sleeve of Oreos. The spirit was willing, but the competitive drive, or maybe just the need to win, was stronger. The Valkyries' defensive masterclass. We can talk about Clark's rust all day, but let's give credit where credit's due. The Golden State Valkyries played some absolutely suffocating defense. They didn't just guard the Fever, they stymied them. They clamped down like a vice, making every shot a contested prayer. Aside from Kelsey Mitchell, who also struggled, 3 of 13 shooting for 12 points. No other Fever starter hit double digits. The Valkyries turned the second quarter into a defensive clinic, holding the Fever to just 32 points by halftime. They even stifled Clark herself, forcing 2 more turnovers in the opening minutes of the third quarter. It was a defensive display that was less about individual matchups and more about a collective "you shall not pass" mentality. They might as well have put up a brick wall named Golden State Defense. The close but no cigar comeback that wasn't. The Fever, to their credit, did show a pulse in the third quarter. Clark drained another 3, and the team went on a 10-1 run, cutting the deficit to a mere 5 points. For a brief, glorious moment, it felt like a classic Clark-led comeback was brewing. The fans in Gainbridge Fieldhouse probably thought the popcorn was about to hit the ceiling. But alas, it was a mirage. The Valkyries, being the buzzkills they are, immediately responded with another run, pushing their lead back to double digits by the end of the third. By the fourth quarter, it was essentially game over. Man, the Fever couldn't buy a bucket, missing their first 7 shots and limping to their worst shooting night of the season. Clark was mercifully subbed out with 4:35 left, the game already out of reach, presumably to go soak her groin in something magical. Looking ahead, back to the drawing board. The loss drops the Fever to a disheartening 9-10 on the year. While the return of their superstar is a psychological boost, this game served as a stark reminder that one player, even Caitlin Clark, can't fix all the problems, especially after an injury. The team's offensive struggles are systemic, and the Valkyries provided a blueprint for how to shut them down. Clark and the rest of the Fever will now look to get back on track, a phrase that's starting to sound like a broken record for them, when they take on the Atlanta Dream on Friday. Let's hope the rust is fully shed by then, because if not, Those sellout crowds might start bringing their own polish.